Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're gearing up for the ACCA Business and Technology exam, you already know the absolute frustration of throwing away marks on basic, fundamental questions. It hurts, right? Well, today, we're hacking ACCA BT together to master the absolute core of accounting, assets and liabilities. We're going to see exactly how to bypass those sneaky exam traps and lock in those easy marks.
So, want to stop losing easy exam marks? Honestly, the truth is, trying to get through the ACCA Business and Technology exam without mastering these foundational concepts, it's basically an uphill battle. You just can't do it. But the second we lock these down, we immediately take back control of your score. Building this rock-solid foundation means the rest of your studying is going to become exponentially easier.
Now, these basics are very frequent foundation on the exam. Master these, and you're literally guaranteeing yourself exam success. I'm not kidding, the examiner absolutely loves to set traps on basic accounting terms. It's almost like it's a personal hobby of theirs. They'll tweak the wording just a tiny bit to make you second-guess yourself. But today we're learning exactly how to hack them and to code those traps so you never, ever fall for them again.
All right, Section 1, Assets, your future benefits.
So, what exactly is an asset? Let's look at the formal definition. An asset is a resource owned by a business that provides future economic benefit. Now, what is absolutely crucial here are those last three words, future economic benefit. An asset isn't just, random office clutter or a fancy plant on your desk. It's something useful that actively works to bring in cash later. Think of it as a resource that practically has a future paycheck attached to it.
Okay, let's look at what we like to call the asset arsenal. You need to memorize these instantly. We're talking about cash, machinery, inventory, and debtors. Now, cash, machinery, and inventory make immediate sense, right? They're physical things you can use or sell. But debtors? Well, that's simply money owed to you by your customers. Because they owe you, it means future cash is coming your way down the line, making it a highly, highly valuable asset.
Moving on to Section 2, Dodging Asset Exam Traps.
The examiner is actively trying to trick you with specific wording, so here's exactly how to map their scenario to the correct answer. If a question mentions a future benefit, boom, the answer is an asset. If it says resource controlled by the business or helps generate revenue, don't even overthink it. It's an asset. Spotting these exact trigger phrases is your ultimate shortcut. Listen, they might bury these words in some massive long-winded story about a manufacturing plant, but your job is to cut through all that noise and just spot the triggers.
It all really boils down to this one golden rule. Asset equals future benefit. When you're sitting there in the exam hall, stressed out, pressed for time, seeing the words future benefit needs to be an automatic reflex for you to select asset. Make this equation an absolute rule in your mind. Repeat it right now until it becomes pure instant. Asset equals future benefit.
Now, to really lock this in, let's create a stark contrast. On one side, we have the future economic benefit we just talked about. On the exact opposite side, we find a future obligation. One brings cash in, the other forces a payout out. Recognizing this kind of push and pull dynamic is how you truly master the language of business.
That brings us to Section 3, Liabilities, Future Obligations.
So, the flip side of the coin. A liability is, quite simply, an obligation that the business must pay in the future. See that word obligation? That represents a strict, unavoidable responsibility. It means an inevitable outflow of cash or resources is on the horizon for the business. You owe something to someone else, and eventually, well, the piper must be paid. Let's run through our liability arsenal. These are classic examples that show up constantly on the BT exam. A loan from a bank. Creditors, the suppliers you owe money to because you bought inventory on credit. And of course, bills payable. Whenever these terms pop up, you are looking at an obligation. You're looking at a liability. Keeping these specific examples fresh in your head is going to save you so much precious time on test day.
Section 4, Dodging Liability Exam Traps.
Let's pivot back to those examiner mind games. Just like with assets, we can easily recognize the liability triggers to guarantee you score the point. If a scenario describes a payment obligation or an amount owed to others, your answer is liability. Again, they might dress it up in a giant paragraph about a company ordering specialized supplies on 30-day credit terms. But if it boils down to an amount owed, you know exactly what to do. Strip away the story, find the core obligation.
Let's hammer home our second golden rule. Liability equals future obligation. I want you to lock this into your memory right now.
Asset equals future benefit, liability equals future obligation. By simplifying these concepts into core truths, the examiner's tricks suddenly lose absolutely all their power. All those complex scenarios just melt away, leaving you with simple, actionable definitions.
Section 5. The final sprint.
Okay, here is your final, no-nonsense procedure to hack these questions in under 10 seconds flat on exam day. Step 1. You spot future benefit or resource controlled. You immediately choose asset. Step 2. You spot payment obligation or amount owed. You choose liability. That's it. Spot the trigger, lock in the answer, and bank the points. It is a systematic, totally stress-free way to approach what used to be really confusing questions.
So, are you ready to think like an examiner and pass with confidence? By applying these rules, you are taking absolute control of your exam prep, and you're going to stop losing those easy marks on basic terminology. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. But this leaves a pretty fascinating question. If assets and liabilities are just the clear-cut foundation of the balance sheet, what kind of hidden complexities and traps are lurking within equity and revenue? Well, we're going to have to uncover that next time.